Welcome back to Cryptos Are Us. I'm George. We're all George. So, today, let's talk about banks. How banks are panicking. Why are they panicking? Maybe because they feel a little bit left out. So, today, let's talk about the moves that Bitcoin has made and the ones it's going to make, and why the big banks are now really regretting and feeling the FOMO. All right, let's do this. Welcome, guys. Good morning. Bitcoin is still holding strong. In fact, you know what? Today may be a good day. We had a slight little pump to 52.6. I don't know. I'm feeling good today. I think we may see some major movement today. But let's see what's going on in the broader market. Well, the US market starting mixed. NASDAQ is up, may flip upwards, but I did talk about this yesterday. Coinbase reported and they had spectacular earnings and they're up 12%, 52-week high. And you know what? I think they're going to keep on gaining. As Bitcoin and crypto get stronger, they're going to keep on gaining. So that's overall fantastic. And you know who else is doing fantastic? MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has grown so much that they may be listed in the S&P 500 soon, okay? Because their stock has been going up and up and up and up and up. And Michael Saylor, he's feeling pretty good. In fact, he just tweeted this morning about how Wall Street Journal reported that he bet billions on Bitcoin and lost. So, the moral of the story is never bet against Bitcoin. That's why I've always said don't short Bitcoin. And if you go write an article about Bitcoin and it's negative, you're going to regret it and it won't age well at all, because whatever you bet against Bitcoin or Bitcoiners, you're going to lose. Whoever wrote that is probably feeling Alyssa Shukar. Probably no longer works at the Wall Street Journal. She's probably feeling pretty silly because now Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy is sitting on close to $10 billion worth of Bitcoin with close to like $4 billion in profit. Okay, so obviously MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor feeling pretty good about the big gamble on Bitcoin, so to speak. And speaking of MicroStrategy, Arkham now knows and tracks all the wallet addresses that's associated to MicroStrategy, and they know exactly where I guess most of it. They said 98% of on-chain holdings. Okay, so they know, so they'll be able to track it and so forth. So kind of interesting there. However, why are we talking about banks today? Because I found this to be particularly interesting. We know, like Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan, you know, even though Jamie Dimon says one thing and says Bitcoin is still a scam and he doesn't want anything to do with it and so forth, you know, he says that, yet JP Morgan is involved with Bitcoin. In fact, JP Morgan's wealth division is led by Gary Gensler's brother. Gary Gensler, I think. I forgot his name, but he's been advising people to buy Bitcoin and crypto for a couple years now. So that's kind of interesting. But here's the different kind of FOMO that I didn't expect because of Bitcoin ETFs. Big banks, they feel like they're missing out. There's so much ETF action now. There's so much money to be made, and they feel like they don't have any piece of it. They're actually arguing to the SEC that they need to be made custodians. Basically, the definition of a custodian, doesn't really fit banks. And these banks are now saying it's not fair. They want to be custodians. They want to be part of it. They know that ETFs are bringing in so much money and institutions and people, and they feel left out. They want a piece. So now they're begging the SEC to change the definition of what a custodian is so they can get involved. It's come to groveling now, guys. These big banks are the ones that argued nonstop about how Bitcoin was bad and how they need to be regulated and how they're only used for nefarious things. Now they're begging Gary to let them hold people's Bitcoin. Think about that. 10 memberships gifted. Thank you. But yeah, that's what's happening right now. That how now we're just seeing a 180, right? From basically everyone. That's how much FOMO these bankers are now feeling. Now, as for ETFs, we got some good news and bad news. Last night, I warned people that even though Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy have accumulated 190,000 Bitcoins over a span of 4 years, or 3.5 years, 4 years, BlackRock and Fidelity are growing so fast that they may surpass MicroStrategy in like weeks' time. In fact, if you combine both BlackRock and Fidelity, they already hold more than MicroStrategy. And this is after, 3 weeks? Getting to the 4th week? So we could just round up to a whole month. Within 1 month, just 2 firms and their funds have surpassed what MicroStrategy did in 4 years. Okay? And it's staggering. This looks at what was added yesterday. BlackRock alone added $6 billion to the Bitcoin. Fidelity added $1.9 billion. Ark added $1.7 billion. And Bitwise added a staggering $2.3 billion. Even though yesterday, Grayscale, their selling started going upwards, it didn't matter. There was a net inflow of over $500 million. Okay, again, every single day. Now, BlackRock holds 116,000 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is at 190. They're growing by, you could see it, 4, 5, 6, 10,000 per day. Per day. That's staggering, okay? We've been talking about MicroStrategy and MicroStrategy for so long. For years. I've been talking about them for years, since 2020. And he looked like a genius in 2021, then looked like a fool in 2022, and 2023, and now looking like a genius again in 2024. But still, we've been talking about 4 years. And as much as he's been buying, these institutions have so much money, they're catching up at an alarming rate. That was my point of my last night's video is, yeah, this is all great to see all the Bitcoins flow into these funds and being removed from circulation. It's awesome. Short term, it's causing Bitcoin to skyrocket. And we're moving faster than ever in this cycle. We have never recovered up this fast in any previous cycles. So think about that. And this is the 4th cycle that we're in. We have never ever recovered up from our bottom as quick as now before the halving event. And that's due to ETFs. That's fantastic. People are making money with Bitcoin. However, it's not so fantastic maybe in a year when I revisit this chart and we see BlackRock holding 2 million Bitcoin and Fidelity holding 1.5 million Bitcoin, not dollars, like million. It would suck to see BlackRock and Fidelity now holding more Bitcoin than even Satoshi, right? At that point, Bitcoin could be well above 200,000. So that's going to suck. That's going to suck when they hold so much down the road. But right now, it's looking good. But make sure, again, I've been stressing this, make sure you get your share. Make sure you don't get flooded out. Make sure you grab what you can while you still can before things get too expensive. And I see a lot of comments like yesterday, during the stream and even afterwards, I see comments like, I don't get why George, or I don't get why you say that retail can't buy. You could buy fractions or decimal points or just a few sats. I get that. Bitcoin is divisible. But I also get retail mentality. I get it. I talk to people all the time. I talk to random strangers on the street. I talk to my family and friends. I'm telling you, the bigger Bitcoin goes, the more it's going to be ignored by retail investors because they don't see the potential anymore and they think it's too expensive. And there's something about holding whole digits of crypto rather than fractional pieces of crypto. You tell someone, would you rather hold 0.01 Bitcoin or 1,000 Cardano, even though they don't know what Cardano is? They'll be more enticed to hold 1,000 Cardano because they don't want to hold 0.01 Bitcoin, right? And it's going to get worse as Bitcoin gets bigger. Most people can only afford 0.001, 0.0002, I'm telling you, it's going to be a thing. The bigger Bitcoin is, even my closest friends, ones I've known for a while, I tell them to get Bitcoin and they ignore it because they see the price tag. They're like, it's 52,000. I'm not going to buy any Bitcoin. I'd rather go buy memes. That's reality, right? And it kind of sucks. But those of us that are in Bitcoin, we know we can't ignore it. We shouldn't ignore it. We should have a large percentage of our portfolio being held by Bitcoin. But this is what I used in my thumbnail. I mean, again, if you're not alarmed by what I just said, just look at this. If you don't believe what I've been saying, this is how much, and you notice it's not slowing down, right? You notice it's like growing just exponentially within just 1 week, less than 1 week, not counting today. Counting today, we're probably above 3 billion. In just 1 week, we have 3 billion flowing in to Bitcoin. This is subtracting off what Grayscale is selling too. This is net inflow, okay? This is not overall this is not like before you subtract Grayscale who's selling 100 to 200, 300 million per day. This is after you subtract those off. So even though Grayscale is still selling, there's a massive amount of inflows going in still. 3 billion worth in just 6 days or 7 days if you count today. So, few other things. Today's Bitcoin price is higher than 97% of all prior days. Bitcoin days in profit. So what this is saying is if you're a Bitcoiner, there's a 97% chance that you're in the green. Because Bitcoin has not been above 50,000 for that long. If you look at what happened in 2021, short stints above 50,000. And of course, even shorter stints above 60,000, right? And that was towards our peak. Right now, we're nowhere close to peak. We're not even at the halving event yet, okay? And we're already sitting well above 50,000 and holding and looking like we're about to make the next leg up. I just feel like we're about to make that next leg up. All the supply shock from the ETFs, it's just building up right now. But most of you guys are in the green, but it's going to get a lot better. It's going to be a lot better soon after we approach the halving event. And that's why you got someone like Scaramucci, the founder of Skybridge Capital, that thinks that Bitcoin will hit 170,000 within 18 months of the next halving. The funny thing about that is now starting to sound conservative, considering there are a lot of people that think that Bitcoin could hit 70, 80,000, 100,000 by mid of this year. Not even at the end of this year. A lot of option traders are buying 70,000, 80,000, 100,000 calls for mid of this year. Man, if we hit 100,000 by, let's say, August or September of this year, 170,000, by the end of next cycle seems a little tame if we're actually moving that quick, right? But if we, obviously, these are predictions by people. Maybe we don't move that quick. Maybe we're just at 60,000 by the end of the year, which is perfectly fine. But I think, the way we're going, that's not going to be the case. But, man, you got some big predictions going on right now. 170,000 sounds fantastic to me. And I do think that's going to come sooner than expected. And the last thing I'll show you guys about Bitcoin is this. Again, people that don't know about the halving event, it's when Bitcoin's inflation gets cut in half. And afterwards, Bitcoin goes parabolic every single time. Now, here's the difference between this time and last time. Like I said, Bitcoin has recovered faster than ever from its bottom this cycle versus previous cycles. It's never ever happened before. This is the fastest recovery we have ever seen. And also, prior cycles, all driven by retail investors. You could throw whales in there. Yes, we definitely had big whales in there. But every single cycle before, in 2013, 2017, even 2021, driven by retail FOMO. None of those cycles were driven by institutional FOMO. And that's the difference this time versus before. This time right now, I hate to say it, is being driven by institutional FOMO. I don't even think retail FOMO really hit because alts aren't really skyrocketing right now, okay? We have seen little stints of like mini altcoin seasons, but alts are not nearly as explosive right now as previous cycles because we're not even past the halving event, right? That makes sense. So right now, what we're seeing is institutional FOMO, and it continues. We just can't even make a prediction of how high Bitcoin can go, how high the entire market could go, because the institutions have endless money. The retail investors, we know in totality, there's, of course, a lot of money, but most retail investors, they have a few thousand to spend. You're talking about institutions, they have billions to spend. And there are a lot of institutions, I just covered the big banks, they're all feeling FOMO right now. They're looking, the ones that are on the sideline, they're like, why are we not in Bitcoin? Right? Like, it's the fastest moving horse in the race. Why are we not in Bitcoin? And as they watch day after day, Bitcoin goes higher and higher and higher, they're all go FOMO in. So this cycle, even though we're making the same kind of prediction, like we're going to follow the same path, we're going to go up this much based on previous cycles, it could all be invalidated when we have trillions flow into Bitcoin. When we have trillions upon trillions coming into Bitcoin and the entire market, we just can't predict. We really can't how high Bitcoin will go. And are we going to have another downfall afterwards? Are we going to have crypto winter ever again? We had the first cycle, we had an 88% drop. Then we had a 85% drop second cycle. Last cycle, we had a 77% drop, which is the lowest percentage we've ever seen. Maybe this time around, we only have a 50% drop, maybe even less. Maybe we have just like a 40% drop, and then Bitcoin just continues on. Maybe we don't have a crypto winter anymore. We just have a super cycle that never ends, and we look forward to the next halving event after 2025. That could very well happen. I just don't see the institutions looking at this map that we're looking at right now and say, okay, this is the top. We're going to sell right before 2026. If they're all making billions to trillions and they're all feeling good, there's no reason that they're going to follow the same pattern as retail investors, right? So again, this might be the last cycle where it's somewhat reasonable for retail to get in, right? Reasonable meaning reasonable price. Because after this cycle, it may be just out of touch for most retail investors. All right. Outside of Bitcoin, what is going on? Just real quick, because I see a lot of people talking about it, and I just want to showcase this. So OpenAI, ChatGPT just released these like images that I still don't quite believe. Okay, we know AI is blowing up, and and we'll make a point related to crypto, um, but this was released yesterday, and if you look at this, there's no way in hell that you think this is AI computer generated. This looks like it's a drone following this couple walking through a winter Japan. Okay? There's no way you can convince me that this was AI generated. But supposedly it was. And this is not like taking like years to generate. This is text to video. Basically, they wrote this, and OpenAI, or Sora, the product within OpenAI, generated this on the fly. Like, same thing. They generated this. In movies, this would take how many hundreds of hours to render and millions of dollars to do? Now Sora and OpenAI can generate these kind of videos like this. Like, I don't know. This does not look computer generated. It just looks like it was filmed. Supposedly all of this is AI generated. It's all fake. None of it was shot using a real camera. Again, I have a hard time believing that. I just feel like they're duping us. Like they actually filmed it and they said it was rendered. I can't compute that it's that good. Anyways, that's the future. That's the future, my friends. Pretty soon, you won't know what's real or what's not. You just tell ChatGPT to generate whatever the hell you're thinking about, and it's going to happen. That's reality. But anyways, how that relates to crypto is because the biggest crypto project that's doing what ChatGPT is doing is Bittensor. Something that I've ignored for a long, long, long time. I can't believe they're already at $4 billion. But that's exactly what Bittensor is doing. They're ChatGPT, but a decentralized version, right? So basically they have miners and validators that are from the people. And as a collective, everyone is just processing massive amount of data, just like ChatGPT, right? And you get rewarded with Tau tokens. And they have been like skyrocketing, man. Like this is one play that I did not pick up on. But in case you're wondering, what's the biggest AI play in the crypto space? It's them, Bittensor. So they may be getting into that space too. They're not the only ones. You have Fetch AI that's also in this space too, that just formed a relationship with Deutsche Telekom, which is T-Mobile. But yeah, we have some AI plays in crypto, decentralized AI, and maybe one day they will be as good as this. It's just mind-boggling how good that is. This is just like way too good. You can't convince me that this is AI generated. There's nothing about this that looks AI generated, that looks fake. From the snow that's hitting the camera to the background to the realistic, to the realistic hair movement. They even have a woman wearing a mask. Like, how does AI know how to generate that? To the perfect, storefronts and signs. They have a random woman walking the opposite direction. Even that woman looks like she's staring at the drone. Like, I still don't believe this is real. I mean, I don't believe this is AI generated. I just don't. Anyways, let's do some Q&A. I'm panicking about AI. I feel like I'm part of the old generation that does not believe anymore. All right. Theodore, hello. What are your thoughts on Alex Labs? I covered Alex before, so they're in the BDC space, right? They're trying to do everything: Launchpad, DEX, bridging, everything. So they seem promising. I mean, there's a lot of promising projects coming out supporting BRC20. They're all trying to kind of figure it out. People are still trying to figure out whether or not we should embrace DeFi on top of Bitcoin. I'm neutral. I think Bitcoin should just stay as a store of value and medium exchange. I'm fine with that. But there's many people that feel like Bitcoin can be expanded to do what Ethereum and Solana and all these L1s are doing. So still kind of in that mix. TC, I have no idea what's going on with Seed. They're a small project, so up and downs are normal. A Baron, thank you. Shakester, you seem to be shadow banned. Livestream didn't show any of my notifications or feeds. Well, considering I have 5,200 people in here, I don't think I'm really shadow banned. But notifications is always an issue. It's been an ongoing issue with YouTube forever. A lot of people just don't get notifications. So there's another reason why to follow my X, or you have to redo the notification. Sometimes it just happens. You unclick notification, re-click. YouTube is just flaky with notifications. It goes down all the time. Loot box. I don't know what loot box is, Marsh. Never heard of it. If AI gets that good, eventually when I retire, I'll just have an AI George streaming, and no one will know the difference because it's so good at generating stuff. Steven, what? What about Beam? I like Beam, but I don't know what you just said there, Steven. Flavio. George, I became a whole coiner some weeks ago, all thanks to you. Cheers from Brazil. I'm glad to hear it, man. Congratulations. These days, becoming a whole coiner means so much more than before. I mean, a whole coiner is whole coiner. It doesn't matter. You're a whole coiner, but still, just think about it. We're at 52,000. It's that much harder now at 52,000 to become a whole coiner than than a whole coiner back when it was 20 or 30K, right? It's a big accomplishment. David also agrees with notifications. Justin, I'm surprised you have not mentioned Johnny Walker King George 5 yet. It's the next level up from Blue. Shout out my college boy Tyler, who has successfully accumulated a whole Bitcoin. Congrats to your son. And, I'm going to look that up. I've never heard that before. Let's look at it right now. It doesn't even show up on here. Oh, man, I'm not 21 yet. I'm putting a fake date, by the way. I wasn't born in 1970. That looks fancy. That's a fancy looking bottle. Now, how expensive is it? It doesn't say. I'll have to see how much this is. Maybe. Oh, it's 450. Yeah, it's like double. It's more than double the price of Blue Label. I'll have to get one. I'll have to get it and see how good it is. Thank you for suggesting that. What do you think about Aurora? I don't really think anything about Aurora. Jamie says this is actually an AI George showing an AI video. You know, it could be. AI is so good. You don't know. A Baron, I appreciate that. Now I can visualize my sci-fi short film without spending a lot. I mean, again, I don't quite believe this. I mean, so far I think it's in closed beta, so you can't just like sign up and use it yet. But if it gets to this point where it's this good, seriously, you could generate anything. You could generate anything you want. And it's going to be like you can't tell what's real anymore. I'll just generate crypto videos using my face. TJ, you reckon we'll have a pullback from here? No. No, I don't. We've been having up and downs, okay? But what did I say? I said we're going to probably consolidate around this 52.3 mark. This is an important resistance. I've been saying it for a few days now. I feel like we're just going to hover around here. We have these little tiny what appears to be pullbacks. They're not really pullbacks. Okay, when you zoom out on the 4 hour, you realize, yeah, we're doing exactly what I said. We're basically consolidating around there, right? It's a major resistance. You go back, we haven't been at this level since December 2021. December 2021. Okay, this is a major, critical, important level to break. After we break through this, 60,000 is right around the corner. It's not even a question. So that's why I think we may have a little hard time to break, but it's going to happen. If you guys been paying attention, we have hundreds of millions of dollars flowing to the ETFs every day. Supply shock is happening. It's happening right in front of our eyes. Don't let like a day of slowness or 2 days of slowness make you feel like, oh, the run is over. No. Don't be scared. In fact, if you look at a 4 hour chart, you look at stochastic, it's almost all the way down. That's actually looking pretty good from a TA perspective. Let's see what I miss here. Theodore, could you look at Myra and Solana? What's your opinion? I've looked at it before. It's a clone of Myro trying to steal the thunder, making a dog into a girl. You know, when it comes to memes, there's no need to look at it, okay? It's either it's going to pump or it's not. It either has a momentum or it's not. And I don't think Myra has the... It's been out for a while. It just has no momentum. Josh, I'm not terribly familiar with either one of those AI projects, Astra or PAL. So can't really comment. Yesterday I did talk about AIT protocol. They're going to be a subnet with Bittensor, and they're going to help, you know, process a lot of the data, mathematical stuff, data modeling, and AI models and so forth. So, but besides that, you know, there's a lot of AI plays that they're just very early. It's very early, but Bittensor seems to be the leader right now. Seaman, hey George, what are your thoughts on selling character of an ETF What? On the selling character ETF? What do you mean? How volatile are they in general? And what do you expect from an institution? Let's say the price drops 20%. Would they panic sell? No. They're panic buying. I guarantee you, the last drop that we had, institutions bought more while retail sold. So days like today, guess what's happening? A lot of retail people are selling, institutions are not. You got to realize institutions, they don't behave, when it comes to markets and investing, they don't behave like an average retail investor, which, you know, is someone that's very indecisive, driven by emotions. Institutions are not like that. They're not like that at all. Once they commit to something, they stay in for long term, for a long time. They, you know, especially as an institution, you're trying to make profits quarter over quarter over quarter, and year after year after year. They're not gonna try to like day trade like normal retail investors. Now, of course, they are people still. Of course, they can feel FOMO and they can panic dump too, but not at the not the same as retail investors. And MCT, do you think AI could generate whole games with very expansive game worlds, game mechanics, and in-depth storylines? Yes. I don't know about soon, but the way AI is progressing, yes, that can certainly happen. I mean, if they could generate realistic short film already, they could generate expansive game worlds. And I'm sure, I mean, you could already use AI to generate like bots and so forth. So I'm sure you can have AI generate everything within a game. Hi, George. Will Binance list cock in you? I have no idea. Go ask Binance. How would I know that? There are rumors, but I can't. I don't know. If it does, it's going to explode. That's for sure. Paul's asking, longtime viewer, I fancy Alexa's LC500. Thoughts on it? The only LC500 I would consider is the convertible. I would not get a regular LC. It looks great. It drives great. It sounds absolutely fantastic because it has a big V8 in there, but the technology is very outdated and it's not the quickest car out there. A lot of the, like if you compare it to a 8 Series or M8, it'll blow it away in terms of performance. So it is dated in some ways. In other ways, it's fantastic. People turn heads. I reviewed it before. People turn heads when you're driving around, and it sounds absolutely amazing. And with the drop top down, they have a convertible version. It's a really nice car if you just want to like tour around, you know, or day, night, or wherever, daily driving. It's really good, really good. What do you think about the VW Polo GTI? No opinions. No opinions on it. Can Manta do a 20x? Manta has been doing really well. It popped up in the top 100. Below 800 million. Yeah, I think so. I think it can. Josh, welcome. Michael says, my tequila costs more than $450 a bottle. What kind of tequila? I don't actually like tequila. I like bourbon. I like cognac. I like vodka too, only because I like to mix drinks, but not a big tequila guy. Craig, first of all, stop adding me with every comment. And second of all, it's not going to help Cadena get back and surpass previous highs. Stop asking me about Cadena. It's like me asking you about your ex-girlfriend. Do you think your ex-girlfriend is going to do well in her new job? Or you think your ex-girlfriend is going to you know, drop 30 pounds and become a supermodel. It's like, come on, man. Marie, I'm not that serious. Sometimes I am, but you know. JHS, I just want a Ferrari 360. It's a nice car. Try to get, I know it's more expensive, but if you get a 360, get the gated 6-speed. You're not going to be very happy with the F1. I live with it, but it's just not that pleasant to drive around the city with. So try to get a gated 6-speed. Unfortunately, that drives the price up to 6 figures. I don't think you'll find one under 100,000 unless it has problems or something. But it's worth it. It's still a looker. People love it. And that 360 exhaust is one of the best ever. And inside looks good, doesn't look too dated, and it drives raw, like really raw. Compared to mine, it feels so raw. Like you actually have to put effort into driving it. Mine drives like a luxury car. Unless you're really pushing out on a track. So it's a good car to get. Real Hunter, George is gonna make 1,000,000 millionaires. I love to see that. I hope all of you guys right now in this chat become millionaires. If you're a whole coiner, there's a really good chance you could be one day just by having one Bitcoin, just by having one. Are you a fan of the Lambo Huracan? It's a little dated now. I mean, they have different versions of it, like the Evo and Streletto or something like that. There's like different versions of it. It's getting dated. What? I'm waiting for the replacement. Juan says, George, friends been telling me that Bitcoin was too expensive 7 years ago. Imagine what they will say in the coming years. That's exactly my point. You're proving my point. That's why I've been saying this. The higher Bitcoin goes, the more it deters the retail investors away. I'm telling you guys. A lot of people don't believe me. They're like, oh, you could go buy 0.1 Bitcoin. I know you could buy 0.1 Bitcoin. You could buy 0.01 Bitcoin. But they look at that price tag and immediately they get turned off by it. So the higher Bitcoin goes, the less retail will come into Bitcoin. Now, they'll come into alts. That's where alts come into play. People will FOMO and ask, like, what's the next best thing to get into, right? I get asked all the time. And I always suggest people like, hey, I want to get into crypto. What do you suggest? I'm like, start with Bitcoin. As soon as I say that, they're like, well, Bitcoin is so high already. You know, what's something else that can move? I hear a lot about Ethereum and Solana. Do you think they're good? And I say, you know, you could buy fractional Bitcoin, right? I would still suggest buying a little bit of Bitcoin and buying others. And I could tell it goes in one year out the other. They don't want to hear about buying fractional Bitcoin. They want to hear about the smaller coins that are much cheaper to buy with greater potential in their minds. It's reality. I talk to people all the time. So one day, which could be very soon, Bitcoin hits 100,000 or 170,000, and there is no one, there's going to be no retail investor that will be interested in buying Bitcoin. They'll just say, oh, I could have bought it. They'll just tell stories. Oh, I could have bought it when it was at 20,000. Oh, I remember it falling to 15,000 and people telling me to buy it, and I didn't buy it. You know, there'll be stories like that forever. Okay, people that are complaining about a sell-off, okay, this is what it looks like on the 4-hour chart. Do you see the sell-off? Do you even notice the sell-off? So people that are in the chat saying, well, Bitcoin is selling off right now. Really? How about we go to the day chart? Where's the sell-off? Sometimes just calm down, okay? Look at Todd Mack. WTF. Sell-off again? Where's the sell-off here? Where's the sell-off, Todd? Again, this is exactly, you're proving my point. Retail investors are so finicky and get so panicked over any little dip. And institutions, what they're doing is they're laughing. They're laughing in your face. And they're buying hundreds of millions of Bitcoin behind your back because you're panicking. That's exactly what's happening. So don't be afraid. When in doubt, zoom out and realize that, man, we went from here. That's I don't know if you guys even remember. I don't even remember until now looking at this. February 5th. That was 11 days ago. That was less than 2 weeks. We went from 40,000 to where we are, 51,800. That's more than a 20% gain. Do you guys remember that? Oh, I'm sorry, not 40,000, 42,000. But still, that's a 20% gain. So we went from 42,000 to 52,000, and yet there are still people saying we're dipping right now. Just to put things into perspective. Fatel, new member, welcome. Joseph asking about B2 Network. Sorry, not familiar with B2 Network. Pepe, thank you for that. Coinbase stock still killing it. Let's see what MicroStrategy is. Oh, MicroStrategy is not doing too good today. Well, down 1%. Not horrible, but Coinbase is still flying. Even BlackRock, almost $30, all-time high. It debuted at around 27, went down all the way to 22, now basically all-time high. These institutions are not going to stop, guys. Don't let them eat up all the Bitcoin, okay? This is what's happening right now. Even the banks, big banks, are panicking because they don't have a piece of the pie. They have to resort to begging Gary to let them get a slice of the sweet Bitcoin ETF action. They want to be custodians, and they also want to buy too. So, all right, guys, that is it. Overall, don't be scared. I don't know why anyone would be scared at this point. 97% of Bitcoiners are in profit. I don't think anyone's scared, okay? But don't let the dips, which we really don't have, discourage you, okay? We're moving exactly how we're not even moving exactly how we should. We're moving way faster than we should, and it's only going to escalate. So stay strong, my friends. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Retro Bill. Exactly.